I would love to think humans are innately good. It's just that my experience has been that they're not. Um, that's just the sad fact. They're, amid a friend of mine who was an NBC correspondent, Martin Fletcher, based in Israel, wrote a book relatively recently about his experiences with wonderful people that he's met in war zones and other nasty places. So there absolutely are wonderful people out there. It's just that I think our instinct is, once the rules, of civilization are taken away, we just fend for ourselves and aren't necessarily, and again, I'm using the royal we, as it were, we in general, generalizing. We tend to just think about ourselves and not other people. Just my experience. I would love to be proven wrong.
I think to discuss the question, we have to ask ourselves, well, what does innate mean? It means kind of your innermost nature. So what is your ultimate innermost nature? I mean, because we're like Russian dolls. There are deeper and deeper and deeper levels. So if we could really get down to the real nitty gritty, the real ultimate essence of everything, what is that? And is that innately good? Or is it neutral? Or is it bad? Or what? And I'll give you my answer and you can give me yours. But I think that ultimately has an evolutionary agenda or trajectory or something, which has given us the universe we now have, starting with a big bang, if there was one, and nothing but hydrogen. And now we've got, as Brian Swim said, you take hydrogen and leave it alone for 13.7 billion years, and you end up with giraffes, rose bushes, and opera. So there's this evolutionary sort of force or energy or something that continues to evolve the universe. And that seems to me to be good. And that's ultimately, innately, what drives us, ultimately what we are. But obviously, as we said earlier, it can get very distorted.
And I think this gets back to the issue of shedding the ego. Right? So your Russian doll analogy, as we get rid of these layers and break through and recognize that we aren't our ego, there is something more. Then we break through to a place where, we are more in sync. Once we recognize that we are not this individual person, but part of that huge ocean mind, as it were, then we're going to care about other people, right? Because it's all us. So I think you're right. Ultimately, I'm talking on the relative. I mean, ultimately, once we all reach enlightenment, yeah, it's all going to be peaches and roses.
Yeah. And there are perhaps worlds like that, like some of these higher realms where that's the way it is. But, variety is the spice of life. And if you're going to have a relative universe, you have to have polarities. And so there are worlds where that appears to be the opposite. But in the big picture, there's this evolutionary machine going on.
Right. I mean, the sci-fi movies always have, the ethereal beings that are almost angelic, right? Who are wonderful and live in utopia. And then the bad guys who are always like, reptilian or something. So there's always that dualism. And I'm sure maybe it's out there.
Yeah. I'm reminded of Darth Vader, sort of when he died, turned out to be Luke's father and took his mask off. And hey, he's not such a bad guy after all. And there are stories actually in the Vedic tradition of beings born as demons who were actually very highly evolved souls, but who they needed somebody to play the demon role and have a fight with Rama or whatever. And then when Rama kills them, they get enlightened.
Well, I mean, there's this theory that the devil's actually just doing God's bidding because God needed that dualism, right?
Right, exactly.